Please join me in the singing of the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth for soil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, at every stage, advance Australia fair. In joyful strength, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Please be seated. The acknowledgement of country and prayer will be read by Harry and Alex.
We pause to remember the uniqueness of this place. We honour and respect the generations of the Tharawal people who held this land in their dreaming. Our candle is lit as a sign of Christ's presence with us. We begin our prayer in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Loving God, we come together today to celebrate many successes: writers, musicians, sportsmen, debaters, artists. We thank God for gifts which we have been given, and we celebrate that they have been used well to the glory of God. Behind every one of these successes are a team of people who enable them to happen. We have much to be grateful for. We thank God for our parents who enable us to be here at St. Greg's. We thank God for our teachers and the other staff who work hard to enable us to participate in so many of these activities on top of the regular classroom teaching and learning. St. Martin Champagne, Mary our Good Mother, and let us always remember.
Thank you to the students for leading us in prayer. Please welcome Isaac, our Mara Solidarity leader, to address us.
At the beginning of our prayer, we are called to come together as a Marist community and celebrate the many successes of the boys who have achieved so highly. In doing so, we thanked God for our many blessings and gifts He has bestowed upon us. As we reflect on our opportunities at Marist Men here at St. Greg's, we remember those in our community and those abroad who are not as fortunate as us. Many people across the world are denied the basics of food, shelter, and education. There are also many in our local community who share this same dilemma, to provide the most basic necessities for their families. May we demonstrate our simplicity and love of work as members of the Marist community in showing our care and compassion for those most in need this Christmas through our Christmas appeal. Thank you.
To begin our assembly this morning, we would like to recognise and congratulate some outstanding writers from Year 9. Please welcome Mrs. Miller to introduce them to us.
Thanks, Aidan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not just here to recognise some Year 9 students, actually. It's some students from Year 7 through to Year 9 who've been outstanding ambassadors for our school, I think, in promoting writing. And that's something that I'm pretty excited about, and I'd like to develop that further in our school. So I'm going to ask my young colleagues there to start filing up while I go through some information about them. These gentlemen were involved in the Write a Book in a Day competition, a few months ago. It was raising funds for the Kids Cancer Project. We entered 3 teams, and those 3 teams wrote 3 books. And between them, so they collaborated to produce a book with illustrations. It was edited and polished as much as they could polish it in the amount of time that they had, and it was quite demanding. And they wrote somewhere around 4,500 words in each book. They had to write to a set of parameters. So parameters are rules outlining what you can and can't do. So I'll start with our Year 7 students. They produced a cute little story, which was, you can see it up there, Hidden in the Mountains. And they had a lot of fun with this story. Their parameters you can see up there. So they were required to include a sports team manager, a punk, and a dinosaur as some characters in their story. They had to set their story in Mount Kosciuszko, and they had to include an issue around Christmas. So they produced their 4,500 word story, and they had finished that at about 7:30 at night after starting it at about 9 o'clock in the morning on that day. So I'm going to call out Dylan Share to read out the blurb of that story to you, and you can have a bit of a listen to see what the boys came up with. Thanks, Dylan Share.
Brad Zero Craigsberg is a punk with a passionate hate for ice hockey. His dad, Stephen Craigsberg, however, the head coach of the San Andreas Seals, absolutely despises punks. This means that the father-son duo aren't particularly fond of each other, but all that changes when Seals' boards of director thinks they need to gain some fitness. One airplane trip, 2 days, and 25 grand later, the team are at the hockey courts and the duo are climbing Mount Kosciuszko. But will everything be okay? Will he survive the Christmas-ruining hike? What about his lizard, Anthrax? Will he survive without the one person he can stand? Read this thrilling adventure taking you back in time while keeping you in present. 10 out of 10 people have never read this story before, apart from you, dear reader.
Thank you, Dylan Share. Can you clap those Year 7 students? And I'm now going to call out the names of those Year 7 students involved in that story, and I'll ask Mr. Miller, would you kindly present the certificates of recognition to those students. Our first student is Zach Quick, Thomas Graham, Sean Murtagh, Andrew Parkin, and you can see how important it is to edit your work because I wrote parking. That's a bit unfair. Andrew Parkin, Dylan Share-Kera, Josh Lagonzo, and Will Smith. Almost made it gracefully, Will. Will is a beautiful writer, just so you know. Congratulations to Year 7. And I'll now go on to our Year 8 writers. Year 8 had a different set of parameters to Year 7. They had to include a hairdresser, a movie star and an Easter bunny in their story. Their setting had to be a rubbish tip and the issue had to be my last dollar. So I think lots of us can come up with some silly ideas, you know, we can chuck out lots of silly ideas to kind of try to tie those features together. But our students came up with a full story with some really strong ideas. They called their story Ambiguity, and I'm going to ask Lachlan to come out and read their blurb. Thanks, Lachlan.
From a tip at Lacey's Creek to the stage at the Logies. This is a book about motivation and determination, a book about change, a book about how a movie star and a hairdresser find happiness. This book shows the line between an easy life and a desperate life. This is a book about happiness in the darkest of times. It's about finding hope in a sea of doubt. It's about difference. It's about connection. It's about ambiguity.
Thank you, Lachlan. And I'll now call those Year 8 students up to receive their certificates. Riley Anderson, Tom Kuzak, Declan Foran, Lachlan McInerney, Chris Seaton, William Windsor, Callum Albany, Cavan Limbry, and Ben Quinnell. Would you congratulate the Year 8 writing team? So all of our students engaged in this were successful because they produced a novel. That's the success of the task that they engaged in. They produced a novel. It's a pretty big task. On top of that, our Year 9 team were quite fortunate in that they were nominated for an award for their story, The Bridge, and out of 250 nominators, they received a third place award for their story. So they went to a ceremony at Westmead last week and received an award there, so they've already had some plaudits for their success. Year 9 wrote a story called The Bridge, and they had to include a singer, an escaped convict and a Tasmanian tiger. Their setting was a bridge, and their issue was My Last Dollar. I'm going to get Jake Nash, please, to come and read the blurb for their story.
The Bridge is a story of an unlikely duo coming together to chase their dreams and go on a life-changing journey of money and fame. But it soon changes to be about more than just money as they develop a lifelong friendship that is constantly challenged as they struggle to achieve their goals. A story of hope, friendship, and never giving up.
Thank you, and I'll introduce the Year 9 team as they come up to receive their certificates. Jake Nash, Zach Rochekoust, Jeremiah Fisher, Sanjeev Weerasingham, David DeVekis, and Ray King. Can you congratulate those boys, please, on their achievement? I would encourage everyone to get involved with writing opportunities around the school. Sometimes you might just have a skill in illustrating. I'd consider that to be part of writing. You're welcome to illustrate a book with us next year when we do Write a Book in a Day. I'm hoping to have more people involved. And I think the gentlemen who are involved had a really positive day, and again they have a book to show for the efforts that they put in. Any of you can have a look at those books in the library. I'll endeavour to have some more copies in there, but there are a few to start off with. So thank you very much for your attention. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller, and congratulations to all students who participated in the Write a Book in a Day competition.
St Gregory's is well known for its high level of expertise in music. For our first performance today, we welcome Harrison Tallick from Year 11. He'll be playing an original piece on semi-acoustic guitar. Please welcome Harrison. Thank you, Harrison. Yet another demonstration of the diverse talents that we have here at St Greg's. I would encourage any student with an interest in music to get involved in the many opportunities available at St Greg's. Following on from the success of our young authors, we welcome Mrs. Arentz to talk about the recent success of the Year 10 debating team in the CSDA debating competition. Please welcome Mrs. Arentz.
Thank you, Lachlan. Good morning, everyone. Today I'd like to officially make some presentations to our Year 10 debating team, the 10As. You've probably heard about their success at a number of competitions this year in lineup, but they haven't actually been officially recognised, so that's what we'll do this morning. I'll tell you a little bit about the team firstly. There are 4 speakers. We have Angus Rochester, William Limbry, Hayden Wolfe and Marcus Bombarderi. Each of these boys brings their own special talent to our debating team. And as you all know, or if you didn't know, debating isn't just about one person, it's about a whole team working together. And that's what these boys do so well. Angus and Will usually share the role of first speaker, and they alternate depending on what their other extracurricular activities are on at the time. They're both involved in many different things. Angus brings a wonderful knowledge of sport to our team, which has been really handy on a number of occasions. Will is an expert at setting the foundation for a great debate, and he's continued to improve his times throughout the year. Hayden is our second speaker, and he's very knowledgeable when it comes to anything to do with law or commerce. Finally, Marcus is our third speaker, and he seems to be able to dismantle any other team's case and do it in a polite but methodical way. So there are a number of competitions, or 2 main competitions that the boys were involved in. Firstly, the CSDA Metropolitan Debating Competition that was occurred mainly in term 2. The boys basically remained undefeated throughout the competition, and then they faced Mercy College Chatswood in the grand final, and they won. More recently, we had the CSDA state competition here at the school a few weeks ago, and there were a number of competitions through the day, or a number of rounds, and then at the end of the day, our boys competed against our Ladies Star of the Sea from Wollongong, and again, they won. So they're now Metropolitan Grand Finalists and State Grand Finalists. It's been an absolute pleasure working with these young men. They are always appreciative of the time that you give, and myself and Mrs. Santos have worked closely with them. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Santos for her involvement and her help with the debating. She runs it so well, and the boys think so highly of her. There are only 2 members of the team here today because Marcus and Angus are involved with Year 10 activities already. So I'll call up on the stage William Limbry and Hayden Wolfe. And I'll ask Mr. Miller if he could present them. Firstly, there's the large red trophy. That's from the Metropolitan State Final. And then the 2 smaller plaques are from the more recent State Championship. Congratulations, boys.
Thank you to Ms. Arens, and congratulations to all the debating sides that represent our college. It has been an incredible, successful season this year.
We have another recent statewide competition winning team with our first 11 cricket side. To tell us more about this achievement, we welcome our sports coordinator, Mr. O'Brien, to the microphone.
Thank you very much, Aidan, and good morning to all of our guests, staff and students today. This morning, as mentioned by Aidan, I have the privilege of presenting the recent sporting success of St Gregory's College first grade cricket team. To understand the magnitude of the success of our first cricket team, I must explain the pathway that they've gone through to get here. So firstly, in 2016, the first 11 team, captained by Year 12 student Daniel Slane, won the MCS competition with a dominant performance throughout the entire season. Following this, the team played in the CCC competition in cricket, known as the Downie Shield. The team progressed through the competition with great success, making the grand final against St Augustine's College. Both teams are extremely strong cricket teams and had a competitive match on the day. Unfortunately, this resulted in St Gregory's College losing a match that year. Fortunately, for coach Mr. Morrissey and the team, the top 2 schools from the Downie Shield go through to progress to the New South Wales All Schools Cricket Carnival. The New South Wales All Schools Carnival is a competition designed to determine the best cricketing school within the entire state and was played this year in 2017. The carnival is structured with the best team from the CSA, the Combined Associated Schools, the winning school of the GPS, the Greater Public Schools, the 3 strongest schools from the CHS, the Combined High Schools, the 2 strongest schools from the CCC, Combined Catholic Schools, which this year was ourselves and St Augustine's, and the winning school of the CSSA, the Christian Schools Sports Association. St Gregory's College had a fantastic season this year in the All Schools competition, and in 2017, Mr Morrissey and Ms Burke took the team to Wollongong on the 13th of November to verse the King's College in the New South Wales All Schools semi-finals. With a confident win, the boys were required to back up the following day, and I was personally lucky enough to travel with coach Mr Morrissey and the team to Wollongong for the New South Wales All Schools Grand Final on the 14th of November. The game provided a very unique opportunity for the team, as St Gregory's College and St Augustine's College were the 2 most successful teams in the All Schools, meaning the Grand Final was a rematch of the Grand Final teams from last year's Downie Shield. To recap, I'll now read a review of the match written by Mr Morrissey. Today, we played St Augustine's College in the final of the New South Wales All Schools Championships. After losing the toss, we were asked to field. Wallace Marshall took a wicket off the first ball of the day, and things only got better from there. On a very flat wicket and a fast outfield, our bowlers did an outstanding job bowling out St Augustine's for 176 runs in the 48th over. The chief wicket takers of the day were Liam Marshall, 4 wickets for 18 runs off 8 overs, and Ryan Clark, 3 wickets for 19 runs off 8 overs. In reply, we could not have asked for a better start, with Cameron Middleton scoring 59 runs and Cameron Cotter also scoring 59 runs not out, putting on a 105 opening stand. They were ably supported by Ryan Clark, who struck 45 runs not out of only 25 balls. We eventually passed the St Augustine's target for a loss of only 2 wickets within the 30th over. As you can see, this was a dominant victory against a team who previously beat us in the Downie Shield final. Before I invite the players to the stage to receive their awards, I would like to make it very clear that this win means that St Gregory's College and the boys receiving their awards today are officially the best schoolboys cricket team in the entire state of New South Wales. Furthermore, with 2017 potentially being the last year of the New South Wales All Schools Cricket Carnival, these boys have secured the perpetual trophy to reside within St Gregory's College forevermore. I'll now start by acknowledging the Year 12 boys who played and are not present today as they have already graduated. Captain of the team, Daniel Slane, Vincent Herezchuk, Wallace Marshall and Daniel Hodson. I'll now ask the remainder of the team to gather near the stage and prepare to receive their medals presented by Mr Miller and coach Mr Morrissey. Cameron Middleton. Cameron Cotter, Jai Mills, Yaron Fair Townsend, Liam Marshall, Ethan DeBono, Lawson Eva is absent today. Jacob Elgid. And current captain of St Greg's First 11 cricket team, Ryan Clark. And Ryan will also present the perpetual trophy to Mr Miller on behalf of the cricket team and coach Mr Morrissey. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to the First 11. Such a great achievement to be able to say you were part of the best schoolboy cricket side in New South Wales.
For our second performance today, we welcome Carl Rushworth on piano. Carl will perform a medley of 2 songs. Please welcome Carl.
Well done, Carl, on that stellar performance. It's great to see you expressing your talents here at St. Greg's. I would now like to introduce another creative arts initiative at the college. Please welcome Mr. Perner.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to introduce today an initiative that will culminate in 2018, Term 1. My role has some slight changes from 2017 to 2018, which will involve the opportunity of looking at innovation at the college, inside and outside the classroom. So it's a very exciting time for the college and myself. This, to put you into the right frame of mind to accept the presentation and the possibilities of participating in this event, it's this image that is quite important for me. It was about 4 years ago I stood on this stage and spoke about the gymnasium of the mind, and I'm not sure if there's people in the audience that were here then, there might be a few, that spoke about the importance of developing the physical side of yourself to be able to have an optimal, healthy life, but also not to neglect the mental capacities that each one of us have. And today I'm going to be talking about the creative mind more so than the physical aspect of our life. So, to put you in the picture, today's presentation about the initiative has to do with the art world. And instantly we can see from some pieces of art that they conjure up images for us straight away, immediately. For the first 20 years of my life, I had no idea that art existed. I spent most of my time playing sport. And I don't regret that. It was a wonderful time, fitness, friends, a little bit of travel. So that was a terrific thing. I had no idea about art. And this anecdote, short anecdote I'll share with you, will probably highlight where people should be considering, learning and appreciating and possibly participating in art a little more in our world. I was a young man of about 20 and I'd met a young woman of around the same age going to art school while I was going to university learning about education. Fledgling artist, rubbed shoulders with artists, this young woman, at art school. So to foster a relationship, I asked her out on a first date, I suppose, to use that phrase. Very, very cleverly, I decided on taking her to an art gallery. And I realised quickly that wasn't so clever. There was an art exhibition, actual art prize in Sydney. It's still being run today at the same gallery. And I'd realised as we walked through the door that I really was way out of my depth when I looked around and saw artworks of different types. I thought to myself, this is a big mistake. Why? Maybe I should keep my mouth shut. I'm trying to impress her, start a relationship. Keep my mouth shut so I wouldn't risk showing great ignorance. Or open my mouth and converse and risk showing great ignorance as well. So we walked into the gallery and I thought to myself, this is a lose-lose situation. I'm not going to impress this young woman at all. She's in the art world, I'm in the sport world, it won't work. But I thought to myself, gymnasium of the mind, you use it in sport, use your brain, make this work. And instantly I thought, keep 2 artworks away from her at all times during the gallery viewing. Keep 2 artworks away and you'll be fine. Because at the end of dinner, you can speak in broad terms on how it was a wonderful exhibition, you like this, etc., etc. And we began walking around, 2 artworks away, safe, smooth operator. I was feeling pretty good at that point. She walked around and I watched others there and realised there were certain things you could do to make yourself look like an art connoisseur. So at times I touched my chin. And sometimes I'd just move my head to the side and step back to get a better view of the artwork. And it was working, I thought. Stay 2 artworks away from her at all times and you're safe. And I stopped at a particular point and suddenly she turned and walked 2 artworks towards me. We were standing in front of a piece of corrugated iron that was flat and rusted against the wall, and I thought, I have to speak. And I said, what's wrong with this organisation? You think they would have been able to move this rubbish after the renovations before the public came in? And she looked at me with disdain. Look that word up later and you'll see what it means. It's not pretty. She walked to the artwork and she pointed to a plaque next to it and walked away. I moved down and looked at the plaque and it said, awarded first prize. At that point in time, I realised that I was in big trouble, and this story ends here. It doesn't end, but it ends here for this moment. At that point, I realised that there's a whole world of art that I haven't been a part of at all, that I don't understand, that I don't appreciate. And you'll see in a moment how at St Greg's we might be trying to foster those of us in the audience who have talent in that area. You can see there are artists in the world who paint very realistically, the old masters like Michelangelo in biblical stories. You can see that we've got surrealists like Salvador Dali, who take everyday objects and humans and transform them in different particular ways. You can see a Jackson Pollock. The Australian government bought one for 1.3 million about 30 years ago, and was the Prime Minister was blasted at that time for spending taxpayers' money on that artwork. As you can see, abstract expressionism, no real forms of human or nature, no real geometrical shapes, but worth quite a lot of money and appreciated by many. Art is also used in many areas of our lives and people don't realise that. Large organisations use artistic departments, artistic directors, to take their product, their service, make it more engaging to the public or make it sell. 15 years ago, a friend asked me to help them purchase a new computer, and I took them to a large department store and started going through the computers and telling them what they did and what they might need. She was not even listening. She looked and she pointed 20 metres away and said, "I'll have that one." And I hadn't even explained what it could do. But she saw the design and she wouldn't buy anything else. So whoever designed that computer, you go into a JB Hi-Fi today, that computer you can buy today, it looks very similar. The artistic designer was a success. Buildings around the world and architecture combine with art as well. As you can see, on the left-hand side, there's a temple in India. It looks a lot like our opera house. It's not. It's a temple. It's a lotus flower, in the shape of a lotus flower. In Moscow, St. Basil's, there's a riot of colour. These two buildings are probably the most visited in the world, with a few others, not because of what they stand for, but because of their magnificent artistic design. Several months ago, Taylor Swift purchased a mansion by the sea. 32 rooms, helipad, indoor pool, etc., private beach. It cost her approximately $9 million. Let's put you in the picture to show the value humans place on art. 30 or 40 years ago, and most of you have studied in your art classes pop art, Andy Warhol created some works that looked like this. That one sold for $17 million. Which brings me to this point, to show the value that human beings place on art. However, it's really quite unknown by a majority of the world. This is a Leonardo, attributed to Leonardo da Vinci. It's called Salvator Mundi. It's not about a guy called Salvatore. In Latin, it translates as Saviour of the world. It's a portrait of Jesus. 1 week ago today, it was auctioned at Christie's auction house in London. 1 week ago today. I'm going to transport you there for the last minute of the auction to show you the value that this artwork has been placed in the world as we know it today. As you watch the video, you'll see a couple of timeline points pop up, and it shows the last 3 artworks that were the most expensive in the world and how this one surpassed them. This one is 500 years old, but the ones that they surpassed were of artists, Klimt, who died in 1918, I think, de Kooning, the last one, who died in 1997. So it's not about age, it's about the artwork. Have a look. Let's go to Christie's in London.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we move to the Leonardo da Vinci, the Salvator Mundi, the masterpiece by Leonardo, Christ the Saviour, previous in the collections of 3 kings of England. At 90 million, 140 million is bid. At 140 million, 150, welcome. At 150 million on the left, 160 is bid, back to Alex. At 190 million, give me 200. 190 is bid, 200 million is bid. At 200 million. At 200 million, 200 million, please, 200 million is bid. Give me 10. At 200 million is bid. At $280 million. Are we all done? Maybe not. Can you give me 290, Alex? I thought so. 300 million. Let's see if that's done it. 300 million. 320 million, we're still not done. At 320 million. At 332 million.
Building the suspense.
For those of you following online, you may not have heard it. The bid was 350, was called on the telephone. At 350 million for Leonardo Salvator Mundi. 370 million, back to Francois' client. At $370 million, ladies and gentlemen. 400 million. $400 million is the bid. Here in the sale room at $400 million with Alex Rotter. The bid is here at $400 million. Leonardo Salvatore Mundi selling here at Christie's. $400 million is the bid, and the piece is sold.
There is nothing that I know of that I've been able to Google that has been as expensive as that artwork of this size. Luxury cars, buildings, diamonds, nothing. And it's because humans still value what other humans can do with their hands and substances with oil and plastic. And we're going to value that here as well at St Greg's with our own staff portrait prize. We're going to open it up to the entire school for students who wish to still show that they can leave their screen for a short period of time and take a pencil, a crayon, an oil stick, a paintbrush, and put something together that other people might want to look at. The stipulation for this prize is that, as with the Archibalds, the subject is supposed to be someone who has a standing in the community of some sort, entertainment, sport, art. At this school, the people who make the school work are the staff. So the one stipulation is that students must paint, draw or sketch a staff member. We will be putting out an application package for anybody who's interested in participating in this. It's an art prize. There will be first prize, there will be highly commended, there will be commended, there will be people's choice. We'll have a week-long exhibition in 2018 Term 1 with an opening night. Please consider the holiday period to maybe start thinking about the process. If you're interested, contact me via email or Mrs. Ferenc. And now that I've mentioned that, next Wednesday night we have the MAD presentation, Music, Art and Drama, which starts at 6 p.m. here at the college. Our music students, our art students and our drama students are showcased. St Greg's is famous for sport, public speaking, oratory, mock trial, musicals, musical performance. Let's put ourselves on the map with art as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perner. It sounds like an exciting new opportunity for aspiring young artists in our community. I hope they become involved. To give his headmaster's address, please welcome Mr. Miller.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just congratulate those two gentlemen, our musicians out there. I was just thinking about it while I was sitting there. Many people don't want to come up here and do public speaking because they have the fears about that, and I understand that. But I think to do what those two gentlemen did this morning in front of 1,000 people and hope they don't hit a wrong note, and they didn't, they were brilliant. But I think, as Mr. Perner said also, the talent that we have here, and we see it on the Winter Serenade, and we'll see it again next Wednesday night as well. We're very fortunate. I know we talk about sport, we talk about academics, but the music, culture and arts and drama here are second to none. So I congratulate both gentlemen on their performances this morning. That was outstanding. Also, congratulations to the other boys who have been up here this morning, the writer book, and also our debating champions as well. They're both very reputable, and the fact that they've gone into open competitions and done so well in that is a real credit to all of them and the staff who have been working with them. Gentlemen, I'll just share one quick story with you I read about this morning. It was about two hikers who were going out, and they dressed for hiking. They were going through the bush. They had on the boots, the backpacks, everything to get through the bush. And they were going along, and all of a sudden a bear came out behind them. And at that stage, they turned around and saw the bear and decided it was better to get out of there quickly. So they found a tree, shot up the tree as fast as they could. They thought once they got up the tree they were okay. The only problem was the bear decided to come after them. So they were sitting up the branches watching this bear come up the tree for them. And one of the gentlemen got his backpack out, opened it up, and started to take off the boots. And he pulled out a pair of running shoes. And he started to put the pair of running shoes on. And the other gentleman who was in the tree with him said, "What are you doing?" He said, "This is not the time to change shoes." And he said, "Well, what's going to happen when that bear comes up here? That we're both going to jump out of this tree, aren't we?" And he said, "Definitely." And he said, "But you're not going to be able to beat the bear. The bear is going to get you." He said, "Well, actually, I've only got to beat one thing, and I've only got to be faster than you. So that's why I'm putting on the track shoes." Now, having a look at that, it's nice to know everyone's listening. When we're talking about worries and challenges, that's what those gentlemen had. They had a real worry behind them, but it was really a challenge for them. And I'll just say three things for you. I've heard boys talk the other day, the exams are finished, therefore, as far as they're concerned, school's finished in the classroom. The actual fact is you're lifelong learners. Those gentlemen are good examples of it this morning. They've gone out, they've learnt new pieces. I think Harry wrote that himself, and that will continue on because he's going into year 12. He can't afford to stop. He's got to keep working. It's the same as you. I worked with a young man the other day on maths problems on Monday afternoon, and he said he didn't understand the problem. We went over it again just so he could improve on what he was doing. So he hadn't stopped working. He still realises you've got to keep going. You've heard Mr. Perner talk this morning about that art prize. That's not going to stop over the Christmas holidays. It's something that's going to keep going. We've got year 11 going into year 12. We've got boys who are doing football training, but they're also thinking they're going to be a football star eventually, and they may well be. But they've got to have that insurance packet behind them. They've got to have the education. They've got to keep doing those assessments and keep working towards those. So, gentlemen, the challenge over the next couple of weeks for you is, yes, you've got 2 weeks left of school. Year 10 are going out on work experience and trips over the next couple of weeks, but everyone else is here. Year 11 going to year 12, so that learning experience has to keep going. For the other ones, 7 to 9, yeah, your exams are over, but you don't stop learning. We keep learning right up until the last minute, whether that's revision and going over things or looking at new things for next year, or taking up Mr. Perner's challenge and looking at what you can do in those areas, or thinking about writing a book for a day, or thinking about debating or developing public speaking, or doing what these gentlemen did this morning. Challenges there for you, gentlemen. You do not stop learning. You can't get away from worries. They are always challenges for you, and you have to keep working at it. Challenges there for you for the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. To conclude our college assembly, as is tradition, I ask that you are upstanding for the singing of the Sultan.
Sancta Dei Genitrix, Sancta Dei Genitrix, nostras deprecationes, ne despicias, y necessitatibus nostris, sed periculis cunctis, libera nos semper, viva gloriosa et benedicta. Sub tuum praesidium confugimus, Sancta Dei Genitrix, Sancta Dei Genitrix.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a seat, please. Boys, as you can see, there was a lot of talent up here this morning, a lot of things happening around the college. I thank you for your conduct this morning. We're going to head off to our next lesson in a minute. Just a couple of quick things. Respect for one another, courtesy to staff, doing the simple things right. That's all. Mr. Miller said it, finish off strong, and look forward to the holidays, to refresh yourself, to recharge and ready for a new year next year. but the year's not over yet. So the next couple of weeks, yeah, they're going to be challenging, but I hope boys can actually put in the effort and finish off strong. Could I have Mr. Cerrone in Year 10 when you're ready?